Hi everyone, my name is Erin Elizabeth Ramberg. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. Welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome if you're new here. Today we're talking about a decision-making tool called Playing the Tape All the Way. So this is a strategy to help us make decisions, to help us decide something. I learned about this it's a common tool used in 12-step recovery programs. So I learned about it in AA and Alcoholics Anonymous. But it's something that as I've used my toolkit from AA for many, many years of my life, it's something that I use all the time, not just for the reason I was taught it, but for many reasons, which I'm going to talk about in this video. But this is a healthy way for us to make decisions, to have just another healthy tool in our toolkit as we continue to navigate and make decisions in life. So first, play the tape all the way. Is basically what it is it helps us think about long-term effects of a decision we make in the moment. So the way it was presented to me in Alcoholics Anonymous was, when we want to drink or when we want to use a drug, when we want to eat something, when we want to, whatever addictive behavior you want to engage in, we just think about in that moment, we're so focused on that playing that section of the tape, that playing the tape all the way means, okay, just think about that, think about what's going to happen after you do that. So you take one sip and then suddenly you're 12 drinks in and then you're bombed and then you black out and then you whatever, then you have to deal with it the next day. Then, you don't feel good. So it's about thinking about the long-term effects of the decision instead of just thinking about, okay, in this moment, this is what I did. And now I don't have to think about anything else, right? So instead of just thinking about right now, it's about thinking long-term. And so again, from that framing, we can understand when I first was introduced to this, it's been very helpful for me to use it in terms of saying no to things. So for example, drinking, maybe it promotes mindfulness basically. So like, okay, in this moment, I really want to have a drink of alcohol, or I really want to do this one drug, or I really want to, engage in this thing that might not be the best for me, but I really want to do it. But once we can take a moment and be thoughtful and think, okay, well, what is actually going to happen besides just like that moment of like the literal high I'm going to get, or the excitement, or like the, chaos moment I'm going to get. If I can think beyond that, then what's going to happen? So it can be helpful in terms of, saying no to things when you think about the long-term repercussions, right? So even something like, reacting to an old way, for example, if someone, you and this person, they know how to push your buttons, you can say, okay, well, if they do this, then I'm going to do that. And then they're going to do that. And then we're just going to escalate until we're like screaming at each other. So you can use it there. You can use it, of course, when you don't want to engage in any type of substance abuse. Maybe, if you think, okay, well, if I just say just one more episode, instead of saying no right now, then maybe, if you're binging something, like a TV show, then maybe it's going to be 6 hours later and you're like, whoop, holy shit, it's like in the middle of the night and I have to go to bed, so it can be very helpful in that. And then as I've been on my journey with taking responsibility for myself and, being accountable for my choices, I've also used it, not just stopping healthy things, but I've used it to say yes to healthy things. So a common one, of course, is like going to bed early, right? Like playing tape all the way. Well, I don't want to go to bed early. I don't want, I want to stay up and be reckless and have like my rebellious hangout nighttime stuff, right? But if I just think about it and say, okay, if I don't go to bed now, then in the morning I'm going to be tired. I'm going to be groggy. It's going to mess up my whole day. So if I play the tape all the way through that way, it's not going to feel good. Working out is a big one for me. I'm working out. I have to, for my health, and like, thank you God I have access to be able to do all that. But when I don't want to, I just think, okay, once this is over, I'm going to feel so much better when it's done. I'm going to be really glad I did it. It's just going to be a positive choice I'm glad I made in my life. So thinking about it that way, maybe going to therapy, maybe trusting a friend, right? If it's someone who you have built rapport with, the way to build the deeper rapport is to continue to open up to each other and hold each other and like have space with that. So maybe if I feel nervous, like, oh, I need some support, so I'm going to trust my friend to listen to me, but maybe we haven't gotten to that level yet, but it's like, okay, well, I can think about all the other ways that they have supported me. And so I know once this is over, there is going to be clear communication. We do love each other, right? So the therapy example, I'm really nervous to share, but maybe this is something that will feel better. And it might not be immediate, right? It could feel better, after a month of going or 3 months of going or whatever. So part of this, of course, is having faith in yourself, but it is helpful for us to not only say no to things, but also the things we can say yes to. And it's a healthy, it's just, again, it's a tool for you to think about. Sometimes we can get so focused in the moment of just like, well, in this moment, I'm going to get this thing and this thing's going to happen and I'm going to feel good and it's going to be amazing and blah, 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 right? Whatever we tell ourselves, but actually long term, it's not going to be the most beneficial for us. And so when you play the tape all the way, we're focused more on, looking at the holistic approach to our life, the wholeness of our life, all the choices we're making and how those play into each other. And this might seem like, maybe the ego might say this is really taking out from being present and really looking at what things are happening right now, but it's actually the opposite. When we can be present, when we're focused on like, I need to have this, I have to do this, this is what I need to have in the moment. If we're thinking about this, like from the addiction standpoint, we're actually not present because we just want that high and that interaction and that push instead of understanding, okay, this is actually not something that's the best for me. So, I can actually be fully present and I need to get clear that like, this is a habit or something I'm doing that doesn't actually serve me. So I need to release it and let it go. So it actually is about being more fully present and thinking about yourself in the long term instead of just in this moment right now and just being like, I don't care what happens, I'm just gonna do this, the end, right? And obviously, of course, it is healthy and fun and good to live in the moment and be present, but this is again about decision making things where some things are about saying no to things for our long-term health and saying yes to other things for our long-term health and well-being and all that. So this is a mindfulness tool. I think you can, now I use it a lot for bigger decisions in my life as well. And so you can, if you're new to this, if it resonates with you, you can practice doing this with smaller decisions in your life. Obviously, there is a time for self-indulgence and there's a time for self-discipline. I think, just depending on the day, what's going on in your body, building that relationship with yourself. You're not going to get it perfect right away. So this is about slowly building trust within yourself, slowly building that relationship with yourself. So you can practice this and apply it to smaller things. And then as you get more comfortable and trusting and seeing, okay, this is working. I have thought about myself long term. I do understand the ways that this may or may not be beneficial for me based on how I'm showing up for myself. Once you do that, then you can start to apply it to bigger decisions in your life. So it can be something that, of course, can be beneficial for you. You can't get a lot out of, but it's okay and helpful to start it like on smaller decisions, or by saying no to something, or, it can be really helpful when you're trying to build a new habit, when you have to remind yourself, like, sometimes when we say, oh no, I can't have that, or I'm not doing that, that's when the ego just like really wants to focus on it. So having this toolkit to be like, okay, at the end of the day, I'm going to be so, or even 1 hour from now, when my focus is somewhere else, I'm going to be so proud of myself that I said no and that I didn't give into like this habit or this feeling or this fake void filling thing that I think is going to take over me. And because again, the whole point of this is just to help you consider moving past like our learned responses, our immediate reactions to things in the moment. And it helps us like kind of break habits and create new space for different choices and decisions we can make. And of course, like just because you're being mindful about it doesn't mean you can bypass the human experience, just like everything else that I teach and talk about. So you probably will still be annoyed. It could probably still be like, it doesn't mean that you don't want to do that thing. It just means you're choosing not to. So if you feel like, wow, I said no or yes to this thing after playing the tape all the way, that doesn't absolve the feelings of like, I really wish I was doing that, like, because we do. So sometimes the healthier decision might not be the thing we want to be doing. So don't feel like there's something wrong with you if you're like saying no or saying yes or whatever you're doing to these certain things and you still don't feel like, it doesn't feel like I'm totally absolved from that. That was the easiest decision ever, right? The point of why we have a tool like this is because we need help making the better decision for ourselves instead of just like kind of going on autopilot with a lot of things, especially if, we do have access to a lot of these numbing out, easy coping mechanism things instead of like being honest and, being able to be more mindful about it. So don't feel like there's something wrong with you if you're very clearly like, okay, I know I need to say no to this, but I still wish I was doing it. That's fine. You're allowed, and obviously we don't want this to get to the place of like self-deprecation to the point where you're punishing yourself, because all these tools I give, they're just tools, so they can be used positively or negatively. So if you do get to the place of like perfectionist tendency or being mean to yourself or any type of that thing, that can be just a signal for you to kind of tap into yourself, to be a little more kind to yourself, to just realize, okay, I actually don't need to be beating myself up about this. This is just a choice I made, and now I can, see what I want to do either way. And so trying not to, the bottom line with everything I teach you is just having some self-compassion, having some kindness, trust that you're going at the pace that's right for you. You're doing the things that you can do for yourself. And just knowing that, again, this isn't like you're not going to be perfect at it. It's just a tool to help us as we navigate life. Okay, so just if this resonates for you, you'll know it's a good tool. You can use it, apply it to a lot of different situations for things you want to say no to, things you want to say yes to, just to kind of guide you to thinking long term about your health and your future and your wellness all around instead of just like in the present moment. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you ever want any more information about me, all of that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day.